Hey guys, welcome back to Growth Mode, where we are all a work in progress. And in today's video, I want to walk you through a very helpful financial tool, and that is your personal financial statement or statement of net worth. So in the business world, we talk about balance sheets, but on the personal side, we talk about your net worth. So I want to walk you through this document, and one, it will show you basically how do you calculate what your worth is and what your net worth is. And then two, it will also show you how you can look at your assets and how are those assets working for you to produce income, because the ultimate goal in terms of creating financial freedom is to make sure your assets are producing enough income to pay for your living expenses. At that point, you're financially free. So this has been a really helpful tool for me over the years, and I think it will be a very helpful tool for you. So let's dive into the document. All right, guys, so let me give you the lay of the land here. So we've got assets on this side, liabilities on this side, and when we subtract the two, assets minus liabilities, that will get you to your net worth. So that's this document at a high level. Again, in the business world, this would be pretty much your balance sheet, but on the personal side, we talk about this as a statement of net worth. And so I'll walk you through this and we can talk about some of the components. I'll also have a template for you below that you can grab and customize this for your own situation. So you can put in your address here. This is just a good, working document for you. Vehicles, let's start there. So some people might say, hey, don't put vehicles on your statement of net worth. I think that it's worth putting on here. These values are usually a little bit higher, more substantial for you. Plus, if you had to sell it, you could sell it for the value and get that cash, or you're going to be trading it in for something else. And then the other reason I like to include it is because sometimes it's being offset with some debt. So if you got payments due on it, then you want to know, hey, what is the asset actually worth? And could I pay off my debts associated with that if I needed to? So this example that I'm walking through here is basically a couple. They're both working and they're saving up for kids' college and stuff like that. So you'll see that later. But they've got a couple of cars, a newer Toyota, an older Subaru, and you can see those values associated there. Then next, we've got kind of cash equivalents and cash items. So in this case, a life insurance policy, but it has some cash value built up with it. So if they needed to tap this, they could get access to that cash. And then you'll see some varying checking and savings accounts. So primary checking, kind of working capital there for bills coming in, your basically paychecks coming in, bills being paid. And then you've got some short-term savings. So you might be saving up for another car, a house, a larger purchase, and then a savings account right here. And then they've even got a Amex personal savings account. Actually, my wife and I used to use one of these. We still do. Actually, the rates were a little bit better and they were like 1.25%, and now they're pretty much garbage, but the account is set up. So anyway, you might check it out right now. Again, rates are garbage, but anytime you've got cash sitting, if it can be making something, it's better than nothing. And then college savings accounts. So all of these are in that kind of cash bucket here. And then as we move down the asset side, we've got investment accounts. So you might have a Roth or a 401k. We've got varying retirement accounts. If you have ever switched jobs a few times, sometimes you end up with these small balances with a few of them. So in this case, they both have a Roth, and then they have a few of these different retirement accounts. Then going down a little bit further, they've got some crypto and they've got some in there. And then we can see there's a business. So in this case, one of them has a business. So they have a business checking account, savings account. And then there's also a value associated with the business. So if you have a business and you were to just sell your business, this would basically be the amount that you could get for it. So in this example, they could sell that business for $300,000. Although you'll see on the asset or the liability side, they also have some debt associated with that business. So they'd sell it for $300,000 and then have to pay off the $250,000 in liabilities. So, and we'll talk about these a little bit more here in a second. So that would be investment accounts. They've also got some real estate going on. So they've got a couple of rental properties and you can see the values of those. And then they have a primary residence. They own their own home. And then they've got a couple of cash accounts here for the rentals, so a checking and savings account for these two right here. So that is total assets, 2.1 million. And again, this example, I'm showing you kind of how you can, I guess, one model for getting to become a millionaire. And so you'll see the net worth for this statement is 1.1 million. The assets are 2.1 million, but that's because we've got some liabilities associated with that. So each of the rentals have a mortgage. So this one has 76,000, this one has 185,000, and then they have a mortgage on their primary residence as well. So just because something is worth that doesn't mean that's actually how much you have. So if we look at rental number one, 320, you'd have to subtract the 76, and that's actually the equity that you have built up, or the differential there. So that would be the basically the plus side of your net worth would be 320 minus the 76. So again, those are the three pieces of real estate. They also have some credit lines. So this is really important. For one, just seeing how much credit you have available. And this goes into credit score. This is not a video about credit score, but this can help you. The higher this number is to basically the ratio between what you're using versus what you have available. So in this case, they pay off all their cards every month, so the balance is zero. But if you do have credit card debt, those balances would go here, and you would have that in the liability side. And then this is just a line to show how much available credit do you have if you needed to basically tap all of those cards for some reason. Obviously, that would be a worst case scenario, but it's good to know what that number is. And then you can see debts in terms of cars. So they have payment on the 2018 Toyota. The Subaru is paid off, so they have no debt associated with that. And then they also have that business debt of 250. So their total liabilities are just over $1 million. And you might look at that just at a glance and go, gosh, they owe $1 million, but they have more than twice that in offsetting assets and things that are working for them. And so what you'll learn is that not all debt is bad debt. Credit card debt is bad debt. Student debt is typically bad debt. Obviously, you invested there and you're hoping there will be a return, but basically, if you've got it, it's just a drain on producing that. That debt isn't producing for you. Whereas this rental income debt is producing, because if this is rented out and somebody's covering the mortgage and you're actually getting cash flow on that, then that's a great thing. Somebody else is paying down the mortgage and the value of your property is going up. I do more videos and have another video on stocks versus real estate that you might check out. But so I won't go into that super in detail here. But that's basically how you arrive at your net worth. You take all your assets, you put them on one side, you add them all up, and then you take everything that you owe and put them on this side, and you subtract the difference. So if you're sitting there and you're putting your assets down, your liabilities, and you're going, gosh, I've got 50 grand in student debt, or I've got 20 grand in credit card debt, and you don't have a lot of cash, and you don't have a lot built up, you might actually have a negative net worth. Now, obviously, the goal is to get that into the positives and then grow that as much as we can so we can get our assets working for us to produce income to cover our lifestyle. But even if you do this calculation and it's negative or it's really, really low, don't let it be demoralizing, because now you know and you can start to move forward. And having that knowledge is one of the most important pieces. So I would say, I would really encourage you to go through this process, even if it looks a little bit ugly, and then start making progress forward. And then I like to actually track along with this over time. And so you can see over here, you can actually just document progress along the way. So wherever you are, I like to update this maybe 4 times a year, and you can track it over here however often you want. Once a year is probably enough, unless you have a lot going on and you want to see kind of how things are going quarterly or even monthly, then go for it. But honestly, just doing an annual update is good enough. And so you can use this tool to track along. And I find that as soon as I started tracking this here, then it was pretty motivating to continue to try to make progress there and keep that net worth number going up, because again, as that starts to go up, you start putting things in place and you start to see, oh gosh, these assets are actually producing money. And eventually that the amount that your net worth is going up will be more than the amount of money that you're making every year. And so that gets pretty exciting when you get to that point. So that's a nice little tracker. And then a couple other additional things that I've added to this document. This is helpful in terms of basically breaking down like cash equivalents, real estate, long-term stocks, crypto, business, cars. So this will show percent of assets, and that will basically take these items and show you basically, hey, if you broke it down, like we've got 1.2 worth of real estate, so that's 61%. And then over here, it basically does the same thing for net worth. So you can see some of those numbers there. And then if we continue down, we've got a sources of income. So both of these people are working. So one's making 60, one's making 50 a year. And then they've got these two rentals working for them. And so rental number one makes $8,000 a year for them. And then rental number two is almost 7. So it's basically 15 grand a year is coming into them passively, and then they make 110 active. This is a great section that over time you want to continue to expand out and see how are your assets producing income. So again, 15 grand. And if they can work over time to get this 15 up to 110 at that point, these guys are free, right? They don't have to keep those active income jobs, and they will still have passive income working for them to cover their lifestyle. And that's why it's so important to build up the asset side of this balance sheet and statement of net worth. All right, guys, I hope this helped kind of breaking things down. Again, I'll have this template for you below, but hopefully this will at least show you where you are today and how you can move forward. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that video walking you through a statement of net worth and how to fill it out and use it for yourself, but also how you can track your progress over time. And with the ultimate goal being build up the asset side of that column. Probably the liability side will come along with it, but the differential will grow. And so your net worth will increase over time, but those assets will be working for you to create passive income. So eventually you can attain financial freedom and have your assets paying for all of your living expenses so that you can take back time freedom. All right, guys, if you like this one, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for me, share it with a friend, and we will see you next time.